my Maude Mk2 Escort is dead.
Probably would have been better if I had the car jacked up rather than the axle. Oh my god, I'm a genius. For an absolute idiot, I'm actually quite clever sometimes. All you need to build a car is cable ties.
I can feel an aaaaaand bodge coming.
Dropped me bit of pipe. I realise now is I'm not actually going to be able to put the pipe on it.
We'll see how long it lasts.
We are eating many dishes.
Many dishes, yeah.
Done. Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes and Maude, my Maude Mk2 Escort is dead. I went to do a donut in Mexico and I heard a bit of a bang from the rear end, and then it seemed like she completely lost drive. Whenever I tried to push the accelerator, it was almost as if the clutch is slipping. You know, the car wouldn't move forward and there was a lot of shaking from the rear end. But then I realised that if I put the car in gear and pushed it forward a bit so that I got a bit of momentum, I was then able to jump in and push the accelerator lightly to roll her back to the garage here at home, because the bit of Mexico I was in was actually very local. Anyway, I think the issue is either going to be one of the half shafts has failed or the diff. I would definitely rather it be one of the half shafts than the diff because she's running the Tranex LSD. But I don't have many tools here in the garage at home, so I'm going to jump in my beautiful girlfriend Kat's plastic Fiesta that she likes to call Roger, head over to my other garage, pick up some tools and the jack and axle stands, and then drive back home to see if we can investigate exactly what is wrong with Maude. Sport mode. Alright, so as you would have seen, I made it back to the garage here at home and I've started taking Maude apart. I'm literally ready to pull the half shafts out now. This one definitely felt like it's the broken one, but we'll pull the other one out first. Because who knows, maybe they're both broken, or maybe it's the actual diff that's broke, and I really, really hope it isn't the diff. Drum roll, please. Well, the driver's side half shaft is still in one piece and the splines all look good, but I've got a feeling the same can't be said for the passenger side one. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, the spline has literally sheared completely off. I suppose that's what happens when you take your car to Mexico on a regular basis, when you've got semi-slicks and stock non-RS half shafts. Now I have brought Esther's old half shafts with me, and if you've been watching my videos you'll know that with Esther's old half shafts the bearing basically slipped up the half shaft, so the retaining collar failed, and then that pushed the wheel out and it was rubbing on the arch, and then while I was broken down I got crashed into. And Esther's currently running some borrowed half shafts that my friends the Cougans lent me. Now I did have one of these labelled as driver's side, but the label's not on there anymore, so I need to work out by the wear on the splines. You know, at the very end they sort of bend one way and then the other one obviously bends the other way, so I need to do some research and make sure I know which one of these is the passenger side half shaft, because if you put the half shafts in the opposite side to what they've been run previously, it can basically shear the spline off, like what's happened to Maude's one, because they sort of get worn one way under pressure, and then when you wear them the other way or put pressure the other way, it snaps the spline off. Now I was planning to have new bearings put on these for Esther, I've actually got one bearing that I had in my garage. So yeah, whichever one of these is the passenger side one, I'll get the new bearing fitted to, and then that'll have to go in Maude. Although with Esther soon to be running over 200 horsepower, I think I'm gonna have to uprate the shafts on her. Probably should do the same with Maude really, but uprated half shafts are expensive. Now obviously the missing spline is now somewhere in the axle. I really hope it hasn't damaged the diff by it being in there. I did literally just drive home quarter of a mile or so from Mexico when this happened, but either way I'm gonna have to remove the diff and clean the axle out thoroughly. I think I might take the diff to a local garage and use their pressure washer just to clean it all out. And I know you shouldn't really be putting water inside a diff, but I think if I just use the pressure washer to get any potential debris out of the diff and then coat the gears and the bearings and stuff with some diff oil and then just bag it up until I'm ready to put the car back together, it should be all right. It's definitely better than risking leaving any debris in there, and I certainly can't be bothered to have my diff completely stripped and rebuilt again, but we'll have a look at what it looks like once I actually get the diff removed from the car.
All right, so to remove the diff, I need to disconnect the prop shaft. And I really should have cracked these bolts off while the car was still on the ground. I should be able to use this bar. See if I can get the gun on it. Yes. And now I just need to undo all the nuts that hold the diff into the axle. I've got this tray to catch the oil. Let's move the jack out of the way. Probably would have been better if I had the car jacked up rather than the axle, so that the axle would sit lower, but I can't bother to rearrange it now. It's only the top nut that might be awkward anyway. I should be able to buzz the rest off. Leave that one on, so I'm going to try and drain the oil before I completely remove the diff. Most of the oil ain't going to come out until I actually get the diff out, so here it goes. Oh, these things are so heavy. Probably just drop the diff into the tray and then slide it out because there's so much gravel and stuff on the floor around here. Yeah, that's not good. That's part of the diff. Loads of little bits of metal in there. So this bit that I found loose in the axle is the same as this bit on this side. If we turn it round to the other side, you can see the sheared off spline is in there, and yeah, this should be on the end there. Now, it definitely would have mullered this bearing, but the question is anything else going to be broken? Doesn't want to spin freely, that's for sure. Yeah, not good. So it looks like I'm gonna have to send this diff to the diff man, but he is normally quite busy, so I don't think this is going to get done, you know, in a couple of days. It looks like Maude's going to be off the road for a while. Thankfully, for what I can see, the crown wheel looks okay. I can see that the plates on the LSD, I mean, I can only see the ones on this side, they haven't broken. I've had those break off in the past, these tabs, which are what locks into the casing to make the diff lock when you give it some. Pinion, from what I can see, looks okay, but yeah, there's definitely bits of debris in there. So yeah, this diff is going to need, at minimum, completely stripping down and cleaning. That bearing will probably need to be replaced. So yeah, not good. Alright, so as it turns out, I mullered a half shaft and potentially mullered Maude's LSD. And what I need to do now is get her somewhat back together so that I can roll her back in her garage. First of all, I need to figure out how I'm going to tie this prop shaft up, because if I take the prop shaft out of the gearbox, I'm going to lose all the gearbox oil. Oh my god, I'm a genius. As it happens, I've actually already got a cable tie fed through these holes in the underneath from where I've had to hang a prop shaft up before, no doubt. For an absolute idiot, I'm actually quite clever sometimes. I feed one cable tie through this one. I might have to use a few, but and at the front of the prop shaft, I'm going to put a cable tie just to make sure that it stays in the gearbox. And I always have a cable tie hanging off the gearbox for this purpose. All you need to build a car is cable ties. Sweet. So now we can throw the half shafts back in. This bearing's got the O-ring on it, so it's going to need whacking in. I would just not press the bearing all the way in, but because Maude's got such wide wheels, I then won't be able to get the wheel on. Let's see if I've got a skinnier wheel. Yeah. Whack it in a little bit. Skinny wheel. Alright, so before I push Maude back in her garage, I want to have a look at something I mentioned in the last video. And I can feel an aaaaaand bodge coming. So I mentioned in the last video that the overflow pipe tube actually broke off of the radiator. See the hole there? And yesterday I picked up this tube from Wix, and it seems like it's just about the same size as the hole. So my plan is to cut this down, so I've only got a couple of inches of it, and I'll clean this area up with sandpaper and push the pipe in there. It'll be quite a tight fit as it is, and then I'll chuck a load of aaaaaand on it and hope that it holds. I don't have any degreaser here or anything, so spit shine will have to do. If I can just sand the area, see if I can get the sandpaper actually in the hole and rough it up, I might have half a chance of this working. Get a bit of a scratch up with a screwdriver as well. It's certainly looking well keyed up. Give the pipe a bit of a key up as well. See how much of a tight fit it is. Very, very tight. In fact, I'll just take a little bit off the inside of that hole. Oh, dropped me bit of pipe. Can't quite reach it. Sweet. Right, what I realise now is I'm not actually going to be able to put the pipe on it. I need to cut this so that the end of it is where this indented bit is on the rad, so yeah, I have to cut a bit off. But it is a nice tight fit, so it might actually work. Just realised it's going to be quite hard to get it underneath. I've intentionally gone well overkill, and we'll see how long it lasts. Obviously it's going to have plenty of time to set properly because Maude's going to be off the road, so we'll just have to see. Anyway, me and Kat are hopefully going to head out and eat some nice food somewhere tonight, so I'm going to push Maude back in the garage. Alright, so a couple of hours have passed, and after a quick shower and a beard trim, me and my beautiful girlfriend Kat are now heading out to get some Italian food. Now, Kat said it didn't look like a posh gaff, so I'm rocking the MH merch. I am starving. We are eating many dishes.
Many dishes, yeah.
Done. Alright, so back at home after way too much Italian food. All our usual spots in Watford were fully booked, but that place we went to today wasn't too bad at all. Now, in a couple of days, I'm going to be going to see my diff man to get his verdict on Maude's LSD. So I'll continue this video then. See you in a sec. Hello, right, so a couple of days have passed and unfortunately my usual diff guy is not working this week, and I obviously want to get Maude's diff ready to refit to her as quick as I can. So I've actually just been on the phone to another company and I'm going to be travelling to drop the diff off in a minute. First, I thought I'd chuck a can of brake cleaner at the diff because it is still really oily from when I removed it. I'll turn it on its side first. Just spray a load on the inside. Alright, so I've just dropped the diff off to this other diff company, and what I didn't realise, but I'm sure some of you would have done from the previous footage in this video, is that the actual casing for the LSD itself is ruined. Luckily, it's the end of the LSD where the end plate goes onto rather than the other end, which is the main billet body of the LSD. Now, the diff guy was adamant that you can't buy those parts separately, but I knew I had seen them for sale before, and I've already found one company that does list that end plate on their website, and I've left them a voicemail, so hopefully they've got some in stock. I've left the diff with this diff company and they're going to strip it and confirm exactly what I do need. I'm guessing I'm going to need at least that bearing on that side as well as this end plate. So yeah, fingers crossed the company that is listing that end plate for sale has got one in stock, and then I might just get away with buying one of those end plates, which are expensive but definitely a lot cheaper than the rest of the main casing. And yeah, hopefully I just need to get that and the bearing, but I will obviously let you know exactly what the diff does need, if it is repairable, or I suppose I'm going to be forced to buy another LSD, which I won't be very happy about because I want to buy an LSD for Esther. I don't want to be in a position where I've got to buy two of them. Maybe at that point it'll be time to give Maude a welded diff just to save some dough. Anyway, as I say, I'll let you know what happens in a future video, but for now I'm going to end this video here. If you did think it was any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Click subscribe to keep up to date with all my future uploads, and check the links in the description to my social media. I'll also leave a link to my website down there for those of you that want to check out my regular blog posts or grab yourself some official Marcus Hayes merchandise. I'll leave a link to my newly launched Patreon in the description as well. Feel free to go and check that out if you want to support the channel in that way and get your name on screen at the end of every video and find out what's going on in my life and on the channel before I actually reveal things on YouTube. I'll also leave my email address in the description for anyone who wants to contact me. Massive thanks as always to each and every one of you for your continued support of my channel, but other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.